In an unprecedented move, the FBI converged on Mar-a-Lago with a search warrant to search the estate of former President Donald Trump as part of its investigation into the alleged mishandling of White House records that could include classified documents taken from the White House. Joining us now to discuss is Robert McDonald, a former Secret Service agent and now criminal justice lecturer at the University of New Haven. Good morning, Robert. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Good morning, Giselle. Nice to be with you.
Nice to have you with us to give us some context on this. Take us through the steps first of what's necessary to even get a search warrant on anybody, much less a former president.
Well, you've got to present information to a magistrate judge or a federal judge to indicate the belief that a crime has been committed and or that there is evidence of that crime located in a specific facility or venue. That information has to be specific, and it has to be presented that a search warrant will develop information to indicate that potentially a crime has been committed. So the bar for anyone is very high that we have to show probable cause of that information. I think it's even a little higher, not that the former president here is any different than anybody else, but you're looking at his residence there, which is protected by another federal agency, my former agency, the Secret Service. So you've got a number of different layers of things there that are going on that may not be present in just your average everyday search warrant execution.
Well, the former president and some of his supporters say this is politically motivated. FBI Director Christopher Wray was appointed by former President Trump. To those who feel this is partisan, what do you say to them?
Well, I don't want to get into the politics of different things, but you know, there's various things that go on, and a lot of things have been going on in the near future or in the recent past that just the optics of it just don't look particularly good. So, you know, again, there obviously were some things going on here that there was a determination made that potentially some classified information was at Mar-a-Lago. I would note that after the Presidential Records Act of 1978, you know, there really is no playbook when administrations change on the developing or storing of information and where it should go. So there have been, I hate to use the term violations, but issues of information and record storage that really go on any time that we change administrations in D.C. after elections. It doesn't go on that often, and there's usually a time lapse to get all of those records and things where they need to be. We obviously saw a couple of months ago that this information was generated that there were 15 boxes of things down in Mar-a-Lago. I'm assuming that after that point, negotiations took place or discussions on how to get the information back to where it properly needs to be. My guess is that there was some breakdown in communications or breakdown in that process here, which led to the next level of the FBI getting involved to execute that search warrant.
The former president is particularly angry that agents secured a personal safe as well. They seem to be targeting something specific. What does this indicate to you?
Well, you need to have specificity in the request for a search warrant. You can't just say we'd like to search a residence and look for information relating to a crime. We need to have some discussion of what that crime may be on the front end, and then that request for a search warrant has to be specific as to what is being looked for. Now, if other information related to other crimes is found during the execution of that search warrant, that is all right, and that information can be taken. But you just can't go in and seize everything under the sun that's in that location. You have to have some specificity and then return that information to the court to indicate what was taken, and also a receipt needs to be left for the owner of the venue or the residence to indicate what was taken during that search warrant.
So it's been reported by Maggie Haberman that the former president is known to tear up or flush notes down the toilet. If the FBI retrieved any evidence, and it is proven that it was a concerted effort to keep these papers from government records, what charges could the former president face?
Well, if they're going to charge him with some violation of the Presidential Records Act, there are various penalties that can be implemented. Probably the most important one in this case is it can preclude that person from holding office down the road if there's a violation of that act. So again, the term violation versus misuse of something, there has to be a determination there that's criminal intent with respect to that information. And that will obviously come out as we move forward in this process.
And Robert, should fear of reprisal or potential unrest in the country be taken into account or deter a criminal probe?
Well, again, there's a lot of different policies and practices that over time used to be implemented and followed. I'm not sure we know what those rules are anymore. And again, I'm not here to talk politics. I'm a former Secret Service agent that talked logistics and policies and things like that. But there's just a lot of things going on right now that on both sides of the aisle where we really don't know what the rules of the road are.
So politics aside, Robert, how unprecedented then is this search, or a search like this on a former president, in our nation's history?
Totally unprecedented. I spoke to a number of my colleagues and former colleagues last night. None of us can remember anything like this. The only thing that came to mind in discussions last night was Watergate, and the Watergate investigation surrounded people that were in and around President Nixon.
Spectrum News.